Hi, and welcome back to part 3 of Visual Basic Application for Excel. And what we're going to do now is we're going to write the code, the power of Visual Basic. To do that, we're going to go ahead and open our user form if you haven't done that already. Remember, if it's closed, you can go ahead and double click on the form cells to reopen it up. And we're going to start our code by double clicking on the Command Calculate button. So let's go ahead and double click that. You'll notice, just like on the video that we watched earlier, we have a function just like the on start for the car. Ours is command calc click. So when you click on calculate, you want it to perform a function. But the first thing we're going to do is we're going to type some text that's going to tell us what this code is for. So if a programmer popped into your code, they can see the text and figure out what this user interface is for. And to type text, you're going to go ahead and click the single quotation and type text. So what we're going to have is we're going to have the commission equal the value of user input times rate. And you notice when I hit enter, the text turned green. So what we want is we want this user interface to calculate sales commission based upon what we input into the text box. So we are going to go ahead and type the rest of our text. It'll turn green if we've done it correctly. And remember, it's important that you put the single quotation in there, or the apostrophe as the case may be. And we're going to type bonus equals the value of user input, and that's the user input in the text box, times the bonus rate. And we are going to tell it what the bonus rate is. Then we're going to say that the total equals the sum of the commission plus the bonus. So the commission will be, if they've made a commission, what is it? And that plus the bonus will tell us whether or not your sales clerk is getting commission this year. So we're going to go ahead and enter. The last thing you're going to type for me is you're going to go ahead and hit the apostrophe again and type your name, student name. And then you're going to go ahead and do the date and time for this class, in case it's Monday, Wednesday, from 11:15 a.m. And you can go ahead and use the dash, 12:30 p.m. because it's text. It won't read it as anything. And then we're going to call it VB1. And when I hit enter, it turns green. Now you notice I put a space in here, but because it's text, it won't make any difference. So you can put the space in there or leave it off, no problem. Okay, so now we're going to start our first line of formulas for code, something that we want the computer to perform when we click on the button. And so the first thing we want it to do is the LBL commission. And remember, you have to type it the same way that you typed it when you named it. We want the LBL.caption to equal the value of our text box where we enter the number, and you have to put .text on there, times, and you could put the asterisk in there for times, 15%. This assigns a commission the value of the number in the box multiplied by 15%. So the value in TXT sales times 15%. So if that were 1, it would be 15 cents. And then that's what you want it to do. So I'm going to go ahead and hit enter. And now we're going to do a feature to calculate the bonus based upon the number that we enter in the TXT cells. So that is an if function, and it's written a little bit differently. So you start it off with the word if, and then you say the value in the TXT sales, because it's the only place that we are actually entering information, is greater than or equal to 500, then we want it to do something. So I've hit enter. My text has turned blue on the ends. Good, I've entered it correctly, but you have to hit tab for the next line. That way it knows it's performing a function. You're going to do LBL bonus caption equals the value, the value of TXT sales, and you have to put the whole thing in there, times 0.05, which is 5%. And you'll notice that my cursor stayed indented, so I want a backspace because I want it to be at the end, and then we're going to end our if statement. And you notice it capitalized all on its own, it spaces all on its own, and that's correct. It's turned blue, so I know that I've written it correctly. It understands it as a formula. So now what we want it to do is if it's less than $500, we want the bonus to be 0. So we have to write that code too. So we're going to go ahead and say if the value of TXT sales, and we're going to accept the text, is less than 500, then, and when I hit enter, it'll space out. We want to tab, because we want it to do something, the caption for LBL bonus should equal 0. And then I'm going to hit enter, it spaced it out automatically, backspace, and end my if statement. So what we've had it do is look at it, tell us if the number we've entered is greater than 500. If it is, then give us the bonus of 5% of $500 or whatever the amount is. If it's less than $500, then you're going to put a big 0 there. There's no commission for the sales agent. So we're going to have it do one more thing. We're going to have them add the commission and the bonus together so that you'll have a total that you could enter into later, the total value of their commission. To do that, we're going to type LBL total, because that was the one that we named it, LBL total, equals the value of the LBL commission, and we have to put our caption in there, plus the value of the bonus, and we have to put caption in there. And you notice it capitalized automatically. When I hit enter, it spaced it out, it's going to perform a function, and then the last thing we have to do is we have to set our text box as the focus so that it knows that's where it needs to look to see where everything's going on. So we've hopefully keyed it correctly, and I'm going to go ahead and close the window. It saves automatically, so even if I didn't click save, that's going to be there. And now we're going to create one for the exit, and to create more code I'm going to double click, and you'll notice it's still there, but now it's brought up a new one that says on click. When you click this one, it's going to perform a function, and all we want to do is type the word end, because we want it to end our Visual Basic application. And then when I close it, the code is still there, and we're going to go ahead and save it. I've already saved it once, but we're going to go ahead and we can do it again. I want you to save it as form sales, and you'll notice that mine has a little M after it. So if you try to save it as a regular Excel workbook and not as a macro enabled workbook, you're going to have a problem. So if you'll come down to the bottom, you'll notice that Excel is still here. I can easily navigate between the two windows. If you're doing your first save, I want you to make sure that the save as type says Excel macro enabled workbook, and you use the pull down arrow and change it from workbook to macro enabled workbook. And I'm going to say yes, and I want you to call it form sales. So now we want to test it. So I'm going to go ahead and click the run icon, or use the run pull down arrow, or hit F5. And here's our input user interface that we created. And I'm going to go ahead and put 500 in there and hit calculate. So you'll notice it's giving me my commission as $75. It's giving me my bonus as $25. And the total of the commission and the bonus is $100. It works correctly. So I'm going to go ahead and click exit. Click right on the form, and then that is it. If you have any questions, you can go ahead and ask me. The last thing that I want you to do is you're going to go ahead and hit calculate, hit the run button one more time, and you're going to type 100 in here and hit calculate. And then you're going to hold the Alt key down on your keyboard and hit the print screen button on your keyboard, which is located right next to the function 12 or F12 key. And then you're going to exit out of the form. Then you're going to go ahead and print just the code, not the form image, but just the code. And when you click OK, it'll print. Then you're going to go ahead and close and return to Microsoft Excel. And then in cell A3, you're going to hit the paste button, and it's going to paste in our form. And your name will pop up there so that I know it's you. And if you look at it, these should be filled out exactly as they are here. Then you're going to print this sheet as well and turn them in together. And I'm going to go ahead and stop it here. So we've created our first form. We set our properties. We've done our code. And I'm going to be heading back to the class. So if you have any questions, you're welcome to start this on your own. And it is not due until the next class period.